Perfect. So guys, so good to see you. We just had a little bit of a small interview before our connection broke, and that's probably because you're very far away. You're in New Zealand. So that's the first really cool fact about you. New Zealand is not the closest place. Second thing that's really very different is your names. Blessed and Treasure are names I have never ever heard, even under 10,000 patients. It's the first time I came across those two very lovely names. And the third thing is, usually it's one side of the family that's affected, right? So it's either the husband or the wife. You were like super unlucky, and both of you had issues with COVID and the spike protein, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your journey to Cyprus and how it all came to play.
Okay.
So for me, it was just over 2 years ago, and I became very, very unwell. I was actually pregnant at the time, and I was just becoming worse and worse. I ended up in hospital a couple of times because I was all the symptoms were seeming like I was having a heart attack or something like that. And I went in and they checked and they're like, no, it looks like you could be having a heart attack, but it's just not making sense. You're too young, not sure what's wrong, go home. Went in again, then they started saying, oh, maybe there's a clot going through your lungs. And they gave me blood thinners and said, go home. But it just wasn't getting better. And every episode actually got worse. So I would be on my bed. I was bedridden pretty much for weeks. And it came to having my baby, and I just didn't have the energy really to have a baby. Um, at the birth, it was really hard. The good thing is the birth went really fast, but then I ran out of energy, so then they just had to get the baby out. It got too much. And then I actually improved and got a lot better. Then on this last pregnancy, it happened again, and it was just worse. It was like I didn't have the energy to walk. I didn't have the energy to do anything. I was breathless. I just had chest pains, fatigue, dizziness. So I actually had developed POTS from it. It was just so bad that I could do nothing. And even laying in my bed my chest was just continually in pain. Brain fog. I couldn't think of the next thing to do. And I said to my husband, there's no way I'm living the rest of my life like this. This is just crazy.
And when
And
did
it
you
was probably
understand
about
that it was long
4.
COVID, actually? At what point did somebody in your family or you understand, oh, this must be long COVID?
Uh, it was when I started Googling my symptoms, and they seemed to be keeping on coming up as long COVID, but I had no idea. So I did a saliva test here in New Zealand, and the naturopath got back to me and said, have you been vaccinated? And I said to him, how do you know? And he says, because your saliva test says you have been. And I said, oh, interesting. And he said, I think you might have been affected by COVID and the vaccine. So I started looking up because things have been pointing that way anyway in my Google searches. So then I started looking into it, and it was probably about 3 months of just off and on Googling that I actually came across your clinic in Cyprus. And then I read your story about going to Germany. So then I initially started looking into Germany, and I wasn't getting much response. So then I started messaging you, and it was like, yeah, the journey went from there.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
going to go to
in
Germany.
defense of our
Yeah.
German partner clinics, one of them was recently purchased by a big corporate, so there was a lot of change there. And one of them in Switzerland got closed because the owners changed. So I do understand. We're a bit more lucky. We're privately owned, so we can do the things that. I mean, I told you when you were here, I built the clinic the way I wished I had it when I had the illness, right? And that's maybe what helps the patients to have a good experience when they come here. Now, the second part is what happened to Blessed at the same time that you were ill? Did his issues kick in at the same time, or how was that from the time frame?
So my symptoms of long COVID were milder than hers. But I started getting chest pain after the COVID vaccine, quite regularly. And I had never had anything like that before. And I was a very athletic person. Like, you know, I would go hiking. I'd run up the mountain, you know, twice a week. So I was super, super fit. And also I'm a beekeeper, so that's very physically demanding, you know, and I was good at it until I slowly over time just was unable to do as much, and I just couldn't achieve like I used to. It
Yeah.
was really slow. It happened really slowly. It was never a drastic change.
It's quite an interesting
So
pattern. You know, people that are very active like yourself, that are very sporty, they have a lot of receptors. They build a lot of receptors. Also, the adrenergic receptors are more in the body. And they play a role, like the autoantibodies dock onto those, but not like adrenaline, noradrenaline, 3 minutes, but 7 to 21 days, which is why you literally sometimes have the feeling like you're getting fried from the inside, right? Like short temper, frustration, potential. I don't know if you had that. I had it. Most of our patients had it. And it's a biochemical, it's an organic process caused by the illness, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it got to the point where my beekeeping instructor with me, I'd been working with him for years. He is in his 60s at the time, and he had stage 3 cancer, and he was pretty sick, but he could keep ahead of me at work. You know, it was crazy, and I didn't
Wow.
know what to do. But then, like she says, we got the saliva tests, and the naturopath picked up that I had a little bit of vaccine damage, and then I also had heart problems.
Mm.
And so that was something we were always working on, but never really able to do much about, it seemed.
Mm. What did you
So
think when your wife told you, darling, we're going to Cyprus?
yeah, well,
Yeah, well.
no,
Oh,
well, we were pretty desperate, you know. Um,
I remember when you
like
were,
we had both,
that's actually number 4 of the things that makes you so different from many of our patients. You came with your kids. You went all the way from New Zealand with your kids and you stayed here on the island. You literally moved here for a short time and you had your kids with you all of the time, right?
Yep.
yeah,
Amazing.
yep.
And then one thing that you have in common with most of our patients, we could see you getting better in front of our eyes every week, a little better.
Yeah, I can
So
tell
Maybe you
you.
want to tell us a little bit
I can
about
tell you,
that
yeah.
part.
that was just crazy because, like,
Incredible.
I walked in the door and I had no energy in me at all. And I was thinking, like, how's this even all gonna go? And I remember the first treatment, and I actually felt quite tired after it, and I just wanted to sleep. And then a couple of days later, I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit better. And then the second treatment came and went, and I didn't feel much difference. Then the third treatment came, and I got really, really sick after it, like the shakes. I felt like I'd been beaten by with a baseball bat, like fever. Then I felt like I'd been put in a freezer. I was like, what have these guys done to me? This is just crazy. How is this even good? What's going on? 2 days later, I was like a new person.
Yeah.
I was like, working. Mum was like, let's go do something. What? And he's like, what is wrong with you? What's going on?
I remember that phase in my recovery as well. It's what I refer to when I talk to patients. I say, at one point, we will need to almost strap you down in your seat again because you want to spend that new energy. And then the basic rule is 1/3, spend it with new activities, 2/3, use it for recovery, right? And that's not easy because it's so tempting to grab that life that you didn't have. And I fully get it. And I fell in that trap just like everybody else did. And I'm sure you also fell in that
Yeah.
trap once or twice before you understood, oh,
Yeah.
sometimes Marcus is right because he's been there.
Yeah.
A good thing I had him telling me to sit down. Just sit down and stop.
Very well done. And how did it go for Blessed? I mean, what was your journey, Blessed? How it was, because you also did the treatment
Yeah. So the reason I did the treatment was because I had high lipoprotein levels to do with my heart. But you know, that was amazing. Like after the first treatment, my chest pain just, you know, it stopped. And obviously, like, you know, I got pretty sick.
I remember,
Um,
for everybody who was not there that day, your face was like twice the size of now, right? Like suddenly you got an allergic reaction, which the med team stopped very well, but it was not very pleasant to go through that, right?
no, no,
Yeah. But it was actually
yeah,
an allergic reaction, not to the apheresis, but to one of the IV ingredients. And
yeah,
they realized very
mm,
quickly, and an hour later, you were back to normal. The next day, everything was good. These things are thanks
yeah,
God very rare, but that's why it's very important to have a med team that knows about our illness, that knows about all of the side effects that can
mm.
potentially happen, you know. So even though it's just one
I
in a
was,
thousand that this happens to. Yeah.
mm, I was amazed how fast that they dealt with it, you know, yeah, because I'm a beekeeper and I have experienced people, staff members going into anaphylactic shock, and you know we have to take them to an ambulance, get them to a hospital, and you know they never recover that quickly. So
Yeah.
it was scary, but you know it was all over in about 30 minutes. You
Yeah.
know,
I
Definitely a
remember.
team that knows what they're doing, like
yeah,
really onto it.
yeah,
Yeah. So if you, because now the reason we're doing this video, the reason I spoke out in public is because we all want things to change. We don't get public support. Nothing happens in the public systems. We don't get insurance cover. We're getting gaslit by the medical system and so on. And in the research labs, we can prove exactly that we still have spike protein persistence, that we do have microclots. So everything's coming together. So the science is backing everything we do up 100% by now, right? So there's a few things we don't understand yet, but mainly the picture is pretty clear. But the reason we're speaking out is because, first of all, we want what happened to us not to happen to other people, but also we want things to change. And back then when I had it, there was
excuse me.
absolutely no support. And you had a very similar experience. You didn't really get a lot of support where you were, right?
No,
So how
I
about that?
didn't feel I didn't feel like there was actually much support here for it. Like, uh, when I felt like I knew I had long COVID, a doctor was like, "Yeah, lots of people have been affected by that, but there's nothing much we can do." And I thought, but there must be something you can do because people can't just stop living. Like, what's going to happen to the world? Like, honestly, everyone's just going to be on their beds or in wheelchairs.
Mm, yeah,
Unfortunately, we know that every COVID infection accumulates the likeliness of catching long COVID. So, if you didn't catch it the first time, it doesn't mean you're not going to have an issue when you get it the fifth time, unfortunately. The good news is people like you and me who recovered, we can live a pretty good life. We just have to go on the early protocol when we get a viral infection again, right? So that's pretty easy, You know who to call. Hey, I have the flu. Hey, I have COVID. What am I going to do, right? So that makes me sleep very well.
Yeah.
So, what symptoms have fully recovered, and what issues are you still experiencing a little bit, or how is your life now?
well, when we got home, basically everybody who met her at home said, "Wow, she is a different person.
What happened?
What's going on?" People were shocked, and I was shocked. Like I had been living with this person for 2 years, and I was like, where's the woman I married? She's gone. And now I've got her back, and it's like, what?
Isn't that
Crazy.
amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody that I see is like, what just happened? You're not the same person that I've known for the last few years. Like, people that I've even met in the last 2 years only know me as what I have been since long COVID. And I got home from Cyprus and I'd been seeing medical people. And then I went for a couple of appointments and people were saying, you don't need to be at these appointments. What's just happened? You're finished, you're done, you're good. And yeah, it's like I do experience a little bit of maybe midday, I need to sit down for 10 minutes. That's it. But other
That is
than that, I'm
incredible.
just like, I'm working. And my mum, I live in a big house with my mum because of the long COVID. We moved into the house with her. And when I first got home, she was always saying, "You need to go. You stop. Go and sit down. I don't want you to have another collapse. Go. You're going to collapse." Because that's what it was like for me. If I did stuff, then I would collapse, and it'd be like, "I'm feeling good today. I can work." And the next day, out. Now
Wiped
it's just
out,
like
yeah.
this. I'm back to what I was before I had long COVID.
This
Cool.
is so amazing. And I now see this times number 2000 whatever, right? So I had over 1,000 patients here, and in the whole clinic group, we've treated over 10,000 with these treatments. And still, every time I see it, it's like a miracle. And I have to remind myself that there are no real miracles, but this is classic, good old-fashioned medicine, science, analytics, diagnostics, and treatments. But on the surface, it still looks like a miracle to me. I'm gonna be honest,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting though, because we originally were going to go to Germany. And then one day we were visiting his uncle's house. And his uncle has been to Cyprus, not for treatment, but just been visiting Cyprus. It's like, wait, go to Cyprus. Cyprus is awesome. And he really vamped up Cyprus to us, like how awesome it was. So then we double
Yeah, we
thought,
thought, oh, let's go
maybe
to
we should just go
Cyprus.
to
Yeah.
Cyprus. And then, like, when we were in Cyprus, there were people from Germany coming over and people from Switzerland coming.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, if we had have gone to Germany and Switzerland, I probably wouldn't have gotten as well as what I did, because I needed the whole Cyprus protocol, not just the H.E.L.P apheresis.
But I gotta, in the defense of the German protocols, they do what they can. They have apheresis. Some of them have hypothermia. They don't have the whole protocol, but it's also very difficult to get all of these treatments in one place. It took us about 3 years.
Yeah.
And we didn't take the lead that was nothing that we planned. It just happened. It's basically just me being unable to say no when patients want to come. I don't like sending patients away. And then basically, whenever I find a treatment out there that clinicians and patients report to be working, I want to see it with my own eyes, and I just bring it on. And then we try it. And if it works, we keep it. And if it doesn't work, we no longer offer it. And so the 10, 12 core treatments that we have here, and the three main ones being the apheresis forms that we use: H.E.L.P apheresis, immunopheresis, immune absorption, hypothermia, and the nutraceuticals. The other 10, they're as important, depending on which subset of long COVID you are, right? But for every treatment we have, we try 3 that we no longer offer. There's been quite a process, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
People with very mild symptoms, I still send them to Germany, because we cannot treat everyone, of course,
Yes.
because they're doing a brilliant job. So if you have only 2, 3 milder symptoms, apheresis only is an amazing treatment, because that's what we did in the beginning.
Okay.
The first year, we didn't know much about this illness, so it was just like a conveyor belt to the apheresis machine. 5 H.E.L.P apheresis didn't help, try 10. We didn't know more, right? Now we're living in a very different world. So you've experienced how the whole portfolio comes together, how it all turns out in the end. So that's a quite nice progress. So I must say, I am overwhelmed that you came like literally the longest possible way. Like New Zealand and Cyprus is like, it's literally on the other end of the world. It's like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It takes, 2 days of travel to get there.
yeah,
Nearly.
yeah.
It's like 30,
And this is
36 hours.
It was a 32-hour
32
trip.
hours, yeah. And we had
It's
some pretty
crazy.
small stopovers. Like we had 2 hours stopover in Dubai. So we were pretty much from one plane to the next with our 3
Oh my
kids.
God.
Oh,
With
but
the
the
kids,
interesting
with the kids
story.
both having long COVID. And sometimes I have people, and long COVID does something to your serotonin, to your dopamine, and to your cortisol. It turns you into a fight or flight status, and most of us get depression or anxiety. So in that state, to fly is difficult for them. But then most of them just have to fly 3 to 5 hours. We take them with a wheelchair on the airport where they start. We welcome them here and whatsoever. Just like I think Diana did the same for you, right? So that makes it a bit easier. But don't forget, you did this for 32 hours with 3 kids. So all I say is, if you're a single person with long COVID and you're 3 to 5 hours away, these people made it happen 36 hours with 3 kids, both having long COVID. It is possible to do it, it is possible to do it.
Yeah.
Interesting story about the journey too was that I had been living in a very depressed state. My mind was always depressed. I was always, and then on the way over, he got the vertigo, and I was just sitting in the seat, just this heavy, just like
She was sick.
just. And in airports, he basically had to do everything, and I would just like hardly do a thing. And it was like, honestly, we've got 32 hours of this. This is just so ridiculous. But on the way home, it was like I was running, I was carrying bags, I was like, it was just like amazing the difference. So yeah, definitely like if you can get there and get the help, and yeah, because it's actually worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is very
I have.
expensive, unfortunately, even though we're the most affordable clinics of all because we designed it that way. For me, there were two things that were very important: accessibility. With your savings or with friends or family, I wanted everyone to be able to access it. I didn't want to do a clinic for rich people. So we don't have a Swarovski crystal fountain in the lobby. We don't have any fancy luxury. It's very, very
Nope.
modern, very, very clean, everything. But we're not one of these luxurious wellness spas places, because all we want to do is get people better, right? And I think that's important because yes, I do understand some people would want us to be like a wellness spa hotel thing. That's not what we are. We make people healthy, you know.
Yeah. You
So
know,
guys,
another
thank
interesting
you so
thing.
much for speaking with me, and you keep in touch with us. And you know, let's just spread the word together, because more people find us, more people get help. And
Yes.
I think it's fair to say you are probably the most extreme example of how much effort somebody has to go to fly around half of the planet with 3 kids, both having long COVID. But then, thanks God, you got your life back. You have your old wife back. You have your old husband back.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You
that's
have a
right.
completely different life. You have something to look forward. You live a great life now. So it was totally worth it. Thank you very much, guys. And all my best regards to New Zealand. Say hello to the family and to
Yeah.
everyone. And hey, I might come and visit you one day, because New Zealand, despite
Oh, we would love you to. Hey, do you know what? I've got lots of friends. I've got some friends with long COVID, and you might see some of them in the near future over there.
Nice.
So
Tell them where
I've
we are
been
to
telling
find.
them.
We'll happily take care of them.
We are
And you know what
telling
happened?
everyone.
I now have a dozen friends in Latvia, Estonia, Baltics, 12 friends, and there was a hockey match, Austria, Latvia, and there was a song contest also. And suddenly I get like 20 messages from Latvia. Boom! So I might just have a group of friends in New Zealand in the near future too.
Yeah.
Very nice,
We have
guys.
been spreading the word.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking with me. All the best in New Zealand, and I hope to see you soon in New Zealand. I really want to go there. It seems to be a lovely, lovely landscape, lovely place, lovely people.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to seeing you.
Yeah. We'll hold you to it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you so
Bye.
much.